Hi everybody, it's Wednesday evening. Good evening to you. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday evening, as good as they get. It's meteorologist Matt Wintz here at Channel 3. I want to kind of get everyone up to speed on what's going on weather-wise with round 2, which is coming in. A lot of us saw round 1. We saw some strong winds with that. We didn't have widespread severe weather out of that, but we did have some pretty decent storms for some of you. And we've got another round behind that. Normally what happens during severe weather events is we're pretty much a one and done kind of location on the map where we get a round of storms. It's out of here. You notice the cooler, more stable air comes in. And then we're done, but that's not going to be the case tonight. We do have another round of storms that's working in out of northwestern Ohio that will move through at least our northern counties. I think some of our southern counties will get involved with this here in a little bit. So we'll let some more people join here. As always, folks, the whole point of Facebook Live is to get you some information and to interact. So if you guys have questions, feel free to throw those up in the chat as well once we get through this. So I'll flip this around. I've got this, just a side note, I've got this really janky stand, iPod or iPhone stand that's on right now. So if this thing falls off and completely collapses and you hear a big crash, it's just because the stand is missing like 8 screws. Okay, so it's a little bit crooked. I get it. All right, we're not here for the fashion show, but it could get a little messy here. Okay, so I'm just not going to touch this. All right, so here we go. This is what we've got. Here's round 1, moved through earlier. There it goes, out into Pennsylvania. We got some real good storms out of this. Couple of places that got hit hard, Erie County and then Lake County as the wind was coming off the lake. And then Portage County in the last hour and a half or so, I was tweeting about that storm. We had some real strong winds with that. Just a really incredible storm that kind of developed with the winds kind of coming together. And that continues to produce wind damage out into Pennsylvania. So this is what we consider round 1. It's done. But notice this swirl in the clouds. We lose, obviously, daytime light, all right, sunset, so we lose the clouds on here. I could pull up another one. But there's a little swirl in the atmosphere that was back here towards Lake Michigan. It's right here. This is the actual area of energy with this whole entire complex. So we're not done yet, and the reason why this kind of complex fell apart a little bit as it moved through northern Ohio is because it got away from the main source, which is back here. Okay, so that main source is now coming in. Look at the storms that it's cranked in southern Michigan. This is now heading into Toledo. Erie County, you're going to be next up in our viewing area. But there is a lot of lightning with this. This first round right here is producing quite a bit of rain. There's not really a lot of severe weather with that. But the second one back towards the back here, that's producing a little bit more lightning. It's got a little bit more kick to it, okay? In terms of severe weather reports, this was the first round. We had wind damage reports from here back into Wisconsin, 600 miles or something like 700 miles worth of storm damage reports from that initial round. All right, so let's track round 2. Again, number 1's gone. We get this brief break. But if you're in Erie County, if you're out towards the islands again, and I'm going to pause this so we can actually get a hold of where these storms are right now. If you're out in the islands right now, you're getting socked once again with very heavy rain. Put-in Bay, Kelly's Island, Port Clinton, Pelee Island dealing with some real heavy rain right now. That's going to work into Sandusky shortly. Okay, so the way this evening is going to go in terms of these storms, this round right here, this first kick that comes in is producing a lot of heavy rain. All right, that's going to saturate the ground even more for those that already got rain today. And then the secondary batch has a lot of lightning with it. What will happen, at least in terms of my radar analysis over 15 years, which still doesn't get it right, trust me, this area here is likely going to merge with this, okay? So what we're going to end up seeing across northern Ohio is just a big complex of rain and storms. So it'll become one big complex. This thing's going to roll. It's going to kind of curve its way down to the south and the east eventually. And most of us here in northern Ohio are going to get some form of rain and lightning off of this. In terms of severe weather, I'm not overly impressed with our severe weather chances this evening. We may end up picking up as this the secondary complex catches up with number 1, which is right here. We may end up seeing some wind gushing out of it as it becomes just one complex. And then we'd have to watch the leading edge when that happens. Right now, the leading edge isn't producing a ton of wind. There is some wind with it, but it's nothing like the near hurricane force wind that we saw on the islands earlier this afternoon with that tornado warning storm in Erie County. So that being said, again, widespread severe weather I don't think is going to be an issue tonight. I think this is more of a heavy rain and flood threat for a lot of us. And the reason for that is that as this moves in, it's not going to blow through real quickly. See how it's kind of lining up into a line? That means once you get a round of storms, like let's say in Sandusky, you're going to continue to see rounds of storms until this whole complex pushes down to the south, okay? Whereas round one that we had right here pretty much just went through in a line. This one's more in kind of an oval shape that's going from west to east, okay? So that's going to be our issue, I think, as we go throughout the rest of the evening, is the fact that we could have some decent flooding in portions of northeast Ohio. And I would probably say the areas that get that flooding would be our northern counties as of right now, because they saw the most rain from our earlier storms. We've had some isolated storms, especially yesterday with the lake breeze that put down 2.5 inches of rain near Brecksville. Chagrin Falls saw some heavy rain from that as well. So that's going to be, I think the main concern is flooding the rest of the night, but we'll have to keep an eye on severe weather. So in terms of this round two that's coming in, Erie County, you're up first. Lorain County, you'll be after that. Same with Huron County, Norwalk. You'll be seeing some rain here probably in the next half hour or so. You're probably hearing the rumbles of thunder and seeing the dark clouds again, albeit it is nighttime now. We've lost, obviously the sun. So that'll head into those counties first. Cleveland, I think you'll get a pretty good hit from this as well. We've got a little leading edge there with some wind, as I mentioned. I think as the second section kind of catches up with that, we could increase the wind damage risk with this. But again, keep in mind our atmosphere is worked over from earlier storms, especially in our lakeshore counties. So there's not a ton of juju in the atmosphere or atmospheric energy to work with, all right? So let's take a look at the modeling. As always, I love to show on Facebook Lives what we see, okay? And kind of give you the idea of what we've been looking at as well. So this is the latest HER model run, which, to me, the model, and I've said this on TV, and a lot of you may not watch on TV, and so I'm just going to say this to you as well. The computer model guidance that we rely on to give us a forecast, they're really bad in this kind of setup, all right? This weather setup where we have these large complexes of showers and thunderstorms, which we have across the Great Lakes and really in the summertime, they're really bad at handling where the initiation is for these storms or where they develop, and they're bad at handling where they go, okay? So this, I hate to say it, is the best we have as meteorologists. And most of the time, what we're relying on is experience. And that's why your phone app's been so screwy, because the phone app is just a computer model, all right? There's no human behind your phone app that's putting in numbers. It's giving you the same numbers that we look at as meteorologists. But as meteorologists, this is the best we've got. So what we have to rely on is experience of forecasting these complexes of storms. So what I'm looking at right here when I look at the latest HER model run is, does it match up with what's actually going on right now? It's got the complex of storms that's in central eastern PA right now. It's got it a little further north, so it's off already there. It's got some shower activity here, which we don't have, so it's off there. And it doesn't have the complex of storms here yet, so it's off there as well. So would I discount this model? Probably. I probably would. But we're going to look at it because it has a general trend of what's going to happen. So forget the time here because the model's already off, all right? And again, a lot of meteorologists aren't going to catch this, okay? They're going to show you the model and say, hey, we've got big storms coming through. Look at the timing, 1 o'clock, we're getting nailed. Well, no, we're probably already going to be getting rain around 1 o'clock in the Cleveland area. So I'm just giving you that, so you can take this with a grain of salt in terms of timing and what we're dealing with. But the trend is there where all this activity sinks down to the south. This is going to be a lot of heavy rain. That leading edge, we could have some damaging winds, as I mentioned, as this moves in. And that would be for everyone. I think everyone stands equal chances of this. I know a lot of you asking, what about my town? And it's going to be for everyone here tonight, depending on how this system evolves down in the southern end of it. But the whole thing rolls through. I still think heavy rain and flooding is going to be the primary threat from this, and that's not for everyone. That's for the folks that have already seen rain today, that have seen rain yesterday. Our ground is saturated in spots. I know you folks down in the Akron, the Canton area, these storms have been missing you. They really have. You are dealing with more of a drought down there than anyone else. because you haven't had rain from some of these pop-up storm days that we've had. So hopefully we'll get you some good rain here tonight. I really do think that'll happen. And then tomorrow we clear things out nicely and we talk heat. It's not going to be real hot tomorrow because these storms are going to kind of tamper our atmosphere and bring in kind of a relaxed atmosphere tomorrow. It's going to be extremely unstable tomorrow. Like the instability numbers are off the chart tomorrow, but we'll have a cap in place in the atmosphere, which is basically when you have warm air aloft that kind of comes in and clouds can't rise above a certain height in the atmosphere, okay? So tomorrow, I'm not worried about storms. I'm not worried about, it's extreme heat tomorrow or anything like that. Friday, things change. We bring back extreme heat and just an early look. I think the model goes that far. There you go. I mean, we're into the 90s on Friday. Friday is going to be our hottest day of the summer so far, which, it doesn't say much the way it's been going, but Friday is going to be pretty hot. So take precaution on that. Okay. So that's where we're going with the HER model. Let me quickly change to our in-house model to see if it's any more accurate on the latest run. So you're going to see a couple little operational things here on the side. Ignore that. And we'll get you this one to see exactly where we're going. So we'll change to that. I'm going to take off the HER. Okay, so this is our in-house model. This is our in-house model. This is a model that other TV stations use in our market. So you've probably seen this map. And it has the apocalypse happening about 25 minutes ago. I mean, this is what I mean when I say the models have zero handle on this situation this time of year. So in other days, it'll be fine. Tomorrow, it's going to be accurate. Friday, Saturday, it'll be accurate as well. But with these complexes of storms, the model guidance that meteorologists use is just awful. The forecasting just isn't there because it's so complex. That's why. There's a lot to get into this, and I won't get into the details. Anyway, it is saying that we have this monstrous complex of storms rolling through northern Ohio. That's not true, meaning the rest of this is not true. But you get the trend. We've got this giant area of rain and storms that will be moving through. And bottom line, it's going to be a very rainy and stormy evening, okay, with perhaps some severe weather in the mix, all right? So there's that. So that was no help at all. And again, we were all looking at that together for the first time. Okay, so final thing I'm going to show you here is I want to go big picture, then we'll dive back into the radar and we'll talk about expectations in terms of how I think this will play out tonight. This isn't a huge severe weather event by any means. Round one is gone. Here's round two. This is our next cluster. I'll pause it so we can see it. This is what's ongoing right now. We've got storms in the islands, Erie County. You'll get rain here probably in Sandusky in the next 10 minutes or so. This is all going to spread across the lake towards Lorain County. Then eventually we're getting into Cleveland, Medina, Ashland County. My big question is how far south does this complex go this evening? I'm going to shorten up the time on here so we can kind of get a better look at movement. But, my big question is how far south does this kind of tail end get this evening? And I do think it makes it through the entirety of our viewing area. So I do think that everyone gets some rain tonight, whether that be heavy flooding rains or whether that be, just a general light rain from whatever's left over tonight. That remains to be seen. But this giant complex here will continue to come together. It'll cruise through northern Ohio. Wind damage is a possibility, especially on the leading edge of that first initial hit of storms that we get. And then, tornado risk. I see a couple of you asking about tornado risk on there. I don't see a very high tornado risk from this. It's not zero tonight, but it's not off the charts. There is some shear in the atmosphere, but again, it's not off the charts. So we'll have to keep our eye on it. If there was anything tornadic out of this, it would be some kind of random wind from one storm mixing with another wind from another storm that kind of comes together and forms a little spin. That's what we saw earlier near Kelly's Island. That's why that storm was warned in Erie County earlier this afternoon. Other than that, we've got heavy rain. We've got lots of lightning. And that's going to be our evening here, okay? So timing-wise, 9 o'clock, we're heading into Sandusky area. We'll probably talk 10 o'clock or so in the Cleveland area down towards, I would draw this line probably like that. And then 11 o'clock as we get out into the probably 10:30-ish Akron. 11 o'clock as you get out into Portage County, Geauga County, down towards Holmes County. And then likely midnight as we get out towards our eastern counties, Ashtabula, Trumbull, and our southern counties, Tuscarawas and Carroll County, all right? The threat from this, to me, is going to be flooding. And the reason why is because it's lining up from west to east. We don't want to see that. So that means once you get heavy rain, you'll continue to get heavy rain back towards the west. And that becomes pretty problematic depending on how much rain you've already seen, okay? So that's all I've got for you tonight. I do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I know it's summer. You've got stuff going on. So I do appreciate you taking that time out of your schedule to join me for this conversation. We'll be back at 11 o'clock tonight. So you got about another hour and a half. I'll have the latest radars, all that good stuff. So if you're not accustomed to staying up late and watching us, we will have some good information for you. I know we've got a couple reporters on the scene as well. I think Lydia's out right now. In Lake County, they had a tree that fell in a house in the Painesville area. Lots of limbs and power lines down out there as well. So some of us did see some bad weather tonight. A lot of us did not. And that's kind of the way it's going to go the rest of the evening here into the overnight, okay? So heavy rain looks to be the main threat. We'll watch for severe weather. We'll be on it if needed. And again, I'll be on social media. I'll be here as well the rest of the evening, okay? All right, you guys stay safe. Enjoy your summer evening. And if you like thunderstorms like I do, enjoy the free light show. We should get some good lightning out of these tonight. So I'm a huge fan. I get giddy when there are summertime thunderstorms coming in. As long as they're not mind-blowingly severe, it's a pretty cool thing to watch and to have the kids watch the lightning in the skies from a safe location, of course. All right, we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you tonight.